Hi, welcome back to Shawnee Hills Workshop. If you're new to the channel, I'm Wes. Now today we're going to be showing you how to assemble one of our drawer systems. The one we're assembling today is for a 5th Gen 4Runner, but if you've ordered one for a 100 Series Land Cruiser, then the steps are the same, just some of the pieces are a little different. Now you basically have 3 options for this drawer system. The first option is you can buy the complete kit, and that's what you see here. It's got all the pieces cut out to the exact size, got the holes pre-drilled, it's got all the hardware, the heavy-duty drawer slides, the hinges, the screws, pretty much everything other than the drill and driver that you're going to need to put this thing together. The second option is to order just the wood. It's still the exact same as in the full kit. It's got all the holes pre-drilled, everything's cut just the same, but you can source your own hardware wherever you like. The third and final option is you only bought the plans. Now, if you only bought the plans, this is much more of a DIY job than just an assembly, but we're going to assume that you've already got all your pieces cut out per the plans and you're ready to start assembling. Now, I mentioned earlier that you'll need a drill and a driver. Specifically, you'll need a number 8 countersink bit with the drill and a number 2 Phillips driver bit. You'll also need wood glue, and you'll want some sandpaper, preferably around 120 grit, just to ease the edges, get any little splinters that may or may not be there on the plywood. Now, whether you bought one of the kits or you bought the plans, you'll have access to the plans to help with the assembly. And what we're going to be working on now is called subassembly number 1 in the plans. Now, I've got the bottom, the 2 sides, center divider, and the back panel, and that's what we're getting ready to assemble. Now, this is a part where you're going to have to really stop and think about what you're trying to achieve. Which side you want the fridge on. On this one, we're going to put in the fridge slide on the driver's side. So I have the bottom panel up right now, and you can tell this is the back because I've got the screw holes across it. And then here are the screw holes for the sides and the center divider. If you can't tell just by looking at it, you can use your tape measure and see that this is the narrower side. We got 20 inches to the center there, 21 inches here. The narrower side is your fridge slide. We're going to have to turn this thing upside down and screw from the bottom side into the sides and the center divider. So I'm going to do that now. A way to quickly identify the sides and the center divider are they're all going to have this same hole pattern in them. This will be later used for the refrigerator compartment. The 2 sides will be just a hair longer and have 3 holes in the ends, and the center won't have that. So you want to make sure while you're putting this together that you have these all in the same orientation. We're going to start out with the sides, and we're going to have the back of this L shape towards the back of the bottom. Now I'm getting ready to install the back, and right now I'm at the back of the drawer system and the refrigerator is on my left side because it will be on the right side once it's finished. So you want to make sure that the hole cut out for the hidden drawer is on the fridge side and that it's at the top of the cabinet. So mine will be going in this orientation right here. Now the spacing between the side and the edge of the opening for the hidden drawer is 19 inches, and that's a very important measurement. Because of the thickness of your drawer slides and the drawer that's underneath the refrigerator, the center divider needs to stay parallel to the side and be 19 inches offset. So obviously here we can just flush it up, but everywhere else we need to go by and make a few marks at 19 inches just to make sure that we keep everything as parallel as possible. Now that we've got the sides, back, center divider, it's time to put the top on. Again, just making sure that the opening for the fridge slide is on the correct side and facing away from the back. At this point, we're on page 7 of the plans, and we've just finished subassembly 1, and we're getting ready to start on subassembly 2. Now this will be the bottom of the refrigerator compartment that sits in here, and it holds your slide system and tilting system for the refrigerator. It's composed of 2 pieces. The bottom, which is going to have this groove cut out that'll be on the top of the bottom, and then it's got a back that's just going to sit flush with the back. Now there's already 4 pre-drilled holes here, so we'll glue that on and screw it in, and we'll be ready to install it. When we install the fridge compartment bottom into the subassembly 1, we want to make sure that the bottom is perfectly parallel with the top here. And that space is going to be dictated by this piece of wood here. Now, to make it easier to do that, I'm going to turn the box on its side so gravity is holding it down in that direction, and I'll get one side screwed in and then flip it back on its back and get the other side done. All right, now that we've got subassembly 2 completed, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to start working on the driver's side drawer that goes right underneath the fridge slide. Or if you're installing this, reverse, then it would be your passenger side drawer. So I've got the pieces laid out, and something you want to make sure you do before you start screwing things together is just double check and make sure that the backs line up the correct width when you have the sides on, because there's only an inch difference in the bottom between this drawer and the other drawer. It'd just be very easy to get the wrong bottom in. We're going to put the sides on the bottom first, make sure to keep them flush with the sides of the bottom. Then once those are on, we'll take the front and back and put them on. All right, now that we've got the driver's side drawer done, I'm going to work on the passenger side. One thing that you're going to want to do before you assemble this is just take your sanding block and get it down inside these corners just to smooth those. You can do it after it's put together, but it's so much easier doing it now before you put the drawer together. So now that it's time to install the drawers, there's something we need to talk about, and that is the drawer slides. So I've got a set of them right here, and there is a left and a right, and that's something you need to make sure you identify which is which. On these, you're going to want to push down to be able to pull out to disengage the lock. Once you identify your lefts and rights, then we're going to take the outside ones, in this case it'll be this one, and we're going to remove the latch from it. That way you only have to use one latch to open and close the drawers. That's as simple as drilling out 2 rivets, one here and one here. So I'm going to take this over to the drill press and drill those out real quick. Now, if you've installed drawer slides like this before, you're going to want to ignore what you've known in the past, because we've got to install these slightly different. So I'm going to go ahead and take the inner part out on both of them and set them in. And because we're using these slides as the drawer slides or runners for the hidden drawer, we want to install them completely tight up against the top. Now the outside drawer slide, the one without the latch, you'll install like normal, flush up against the edge. Your inner one that has the latch, however, you'll want it to stick out 1/2 inch past. To do the other side, I'm going to flip it back over and use a spacer that comes with your kit. Now in your kit, you're going to have a spacer. It's just a little under 5.5 inches that will allow you to have these drawer slides at the exact same height as the ones in the smaller drawer. And what I do is I set it about halfway back, balance it on that, and then get it where it needs to be and screw it in. In your kit is going to come 2 1/2 inch shims, and you'll want to lay those kind of in the center of your drawer opening, sticking out about halfway. You'll want to make sure that those don't get pushed into the drawer, so while you're pushing the drawer box in, you want to be able to hold on to the bottom of them. You also want to go ahead and pull out your drawer slides partially. Then you want to push your drawer in most of the way, but not all the way. At that point, you're going to want to pull the slides out to be flush with the front of the drawer. Now with the drawer slide flush up against the front, you want to go ahead and start installing some screws. Now at this point, you can pull the drawer out all the way and put the remaining screws in. Now before you put the drawer back in, you want to remove the shims completely. As you're sliding it in, pay attention to your bearings and make sure that your slide is inside the bearings and it's not just pushing the bearings back. You see how the bearings will slide onto the drawer runner. Then you can push it in. Now when you get it most of the way in, it's going to become hard to push. It's only going to be like that the first time you install it. Push it back, and now it'll operate correctly. Now we'll do the other one just the exact same way. The next step is going to be the refrigerator slide assembly. Now this piece is going to have a matching groove to the one that's already on the shelf here for your refrigerator compartment. And you're going to want to make sure that that groove is down. And then you'll take the two sides, and they're the pre-drilled holes, and attach them to the side, staying flush to the front and back. All right, next I've got the pieces here for the fridge tray that your refrigerator will either set in or on depending on the size of your refrigerator. And it's got two long pieces just like the drawers that will be installed flush to the front and back. Then it has front and back pieces that will cap over top of it. So we'll get those put on and get ready to install the assembly. Now that we got both pieces of the fridge tray assembly put together, it's time to assemble everything together. And I'm going to start out by installing this piano hinge first on the slide here, and then second on the actual cabinet itself. All right, now we're going to install the tray into the slide mechanism. And we've modified the outside slide just the way we did the other outside slide, taking the latch off, and we'll have to install it the same way with that 1/2 inch offset on the latch side and flush on this side. We're going to use the drawer dividers from the big drawer to be our spacers here, as we're going to want this to be elevated up off the table. So when installing the tray here, you want to make sure you use the vertical slots in the drawer slides, because we're going to want to dial this tray in as close as we can to make sure that the insert is flush with the top. If you're using a refrigerator that is 54 quarts or below, more than likely you'll be able to use just the tray as it is. This will take a refrigerator with a footprint of up to 13 5/8 by 22 1/2. But if you're using a Yeti cooler or a larger cooler or a really large fridge, then you may have to install this piece permanently. Now, I use this piece just as a cover when I don't have my fridge in my vehicle, so I can just make a flat system here. But if you've got a bigger fridge, you'll want to install it permanently. So what you want to do is try to get all the grooves exactly even, and then use the pre-drilled holes to screw it down. You do not want to glue this down just in case for some reason, if you're using a cooler now and later you use a fridge that fits, you're going to want to use that tray. Now the next few steps I'm not going to actually install because this drawer system's sold and it depends on the end user's preferences. Your system's going to come with 2 of these hooks if you bought the kit with all the hardware. And if you're using the tray, you'll install those on either end in the center, and that's how you'll strap your fridge down, assuming that you want to strap yours down. Now if you've got a bigger fridge or cooler and you're using the full panel, then you'll attach it here and there and strap it down. Now with the top panel, you should be able to do a fridge about 18 inches wide by 25 1/2 inches long. You could do longer, but you're going to then be overhanging at the back. It's just going to be a little bit more complicated to figure out how you're going to strap it down. Your kit's going to come with 2 of these straps. The main purpose of the strap is to hold your fridge or cooler down, but that's only going to use a very small portion of it. The rest we're going to use in several places, the first of which is on your slide out here. Now you want your fridge or cooler to slide out just far enough to right before it gets to its tipping point. And that's going to be different for every fridge or cooler. So you want to actually have yours on here, have it filled up somewhat how you normally would, and just see right before it gets to that point of tipping, you're going to want to mark the back of it so you can get a good measurement of how long you need your limiting strap to be. You're going to want to fold it over itself 3 times. You're going to actually put backwards on the bottom here, and you'll screw in and you'll use 4 of the pan head screws that are provided. And then you pull the length to about the middle of the drawer, fold it over 3 times again. I'm not going to cut this one because we're not installing this now. You fold it over 3 times again, pull out your drawer, and then you'll screw that to the bottom side. Now the next place you're going to use a strap is for limiting how much this can tilt up once your slide is out. Now for most refrigerators, or at least the ones I've used, that's a 30-degree tilt that they allow. But you need to check the instruction of your refrigerator and do what the manufacturer suggests. Now, if it's a cooler, it doesn't matter. You can tilt it as much as you want to that you feel comfortable that you're not going to spill stuff out of it, and you'll adjust your strap accordingly. And similar to what we did under here, you'll fold it over on itself 3 times, screw it once here, then down, and screw it into the actual drawer system itself, using 4 of the panhead screws provided in each end. Now we're going to begin on the hidden drawer or the rear drawer, and it's going to start out with just 3 pieces, back and 2 sides. We won't be installing the front right now. We'll wait till after we get the drawer pushed in before we put the drawer front, because unlike typical drawers, this drawer is not going to have a false front and an actual front. It'll just be one front. Now for the rear drawer, we're going to go ahead and slide it in, and it's just going to be running right on top of the drawer slides we installed earlier. Now for the rear drawer, you'll want to make sure that the smaller of the 2 holes is facing out. That's for your handle to go into. And you'll want the closer side of the hole to be to the top, and you can tell by the screw holes how it should be. You'll just want to try to eyeball your drawer front and get it as centered as close as possible. I've got all the drawer fronts just sitting on, and I've got the recesses around the drawer slides, and from here I'm just going to try to get them evened up straight and just what I think looks visually appealing. And then once I do, I'm going to use these pocket hole screws with the square heads to go through the handle hole and just screw them into the drawer fronts. So you'll notice that I'm leaving a smaller gap at the top than I am at the bottom. Once you get weight in these drawers, they're going to settle just a little bit. So if anything, you want to favor the top just a little bit. Once you've got these screws through the front, you can open up the drawers and run some screws in from the back side, and then take those screws out. Now you'll want to take a 3/16 drill bit and drill all the way through your drawer front and the drawer itself. We can't pre-do this with a CNC because based on how you've built it, these drawer fronts might be shifted one way or another a little bit. Now the next step is we're going to take these 4 blocks and basically make L shapes out of each one of them. And these will end up being the supports that you screw the front panels into after you've installed the drawer system. Now on either side, you're going to put these brackets right flush with the underside of the top and the front of the side panel. And you'll use the 1¼ inch pocket hole screws to attach it to the side. The next thing we're going to do is get ready to install the wings. Now we've got these soft close hinges, and the holes for the cups are already drilled in there. So you just want to push them in and make sure that the hinge is perpendicular to the straight edge here, and then attach those with the provided screws. Now with their hinges in their compressed position, you want to put the wing on the appropriate side, and the bevels that are on either side, those will be at the back, and that allows to match the bevel of the seat when it flips up. So you want to hold these on the side, keep the top of the wing as flush to the top of the box as possible, and make sure that your front edges are lined up, and then attach the hinges. After you've attached them, you can adjust the hinge forward and back if you need any adjustment. Now I've got 2 16-inch strips of the blue nylon, and what you're going to want to do is fold it in about 2 inches on either side, and then fold it on top of each other. Assuming you're wanting the handles on yours, I come over 4.5 inches from the front, 5.5 from the side, and screw it in at a 45-degree angle. For the last step, just like you did with the drawer fronts, you want to line this all up and then run 2 pocket screws through the holes in the mounting panels here to attach this. Now, as soon as we do that and we're happy with it, we're going to take them back off because you cannot install this into your vehicle with the panels in place. So you'll take it off, put it in the vehicle, and then come back in from behind and screw these on. Now if you're installing your drawer system in the 100 series Land Cruiser, you don't need to do anything. You just slide it in and it's going to fit and be just fine. Now if you have a 4Runner, depending on which one you have different things you have to do. This is a standard 4Runner, and it has this panel right here. This is where the factory tie downs would be at the front. You remove those tie downs and this will pop out. If your 4Runner has the pull-out tray in the back, you'll have to remove that. The good thing about that one is you can sell that for several $100s to recoup some of your cost. If you have the 3rd row of seats, you're going to have to remove the seats. At that point, the box will fit. However, the 3rd row seat option has cup holders here that come up a little higher. you'll need to modify your wings to fit around that cup holder if you want to keep the wings. Now, our drawer system does not come with any tie downs, and that's because it fits so snug, there really isn't a way for it in the event of a crash to make its way up and out because it just geometrically can't. However, if you want to tie yours down, then you have several options. Here at the front, you have these mounting points from the factory, and you have the tie down points at the front corner. And then on the Land Cruiser, you have the tie down points from the factory third row seats. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment below. If you don't like the video, leave a comment telling me why you don't like it, and I'll try to get better. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.